What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to the Pixels and Pints podcast. Hope everybody's had a wonderful day. I'm Retro Panda 84 back here with my co host, the sometimes insatiable, always incredible Rope Man the Gray.
Well, good evening, Panda. How are you on this lovely Saturday night?
Oh, a bit under the weather, but getting better, getting better. Hopefully everybody's had a wonderful Saturday and not got the crud like I have. But how has your day been, Rope Man?
Actually, it was pretty good, other than a little shoulder issue that I woke up with this morning as a result of a few too many whiskeys last night. But I went and saw, I don't know if you had a chance yet, but went and saw Captain America Brave New World today.
I have not seen that. Hopefully it was good. I'm rooting for it.
It was, if you haven't seen 2008's The Incredible Hulk, you need to go see rewatch that before you go see Brave New World. It's more Hulk movie than Captain America movie.
Okay,
My
okay. I did see in the previews that there was like Red Hulk.
Yep, it deals with a with Thunderbolt Ross a lot.
Okay, so
So
yeah, I'll definitely have to go back and watch that. 2000 that was the one with Edward Norton, right?
yep, it sure was. And uh, they I don't want to give away any spoilers, so I won't say a whole lot. But that if it wasn't for the fact they needed a hero in the movie, they could have just called it a Hulk movie because of how much they really go into it. So,
Fair enough. I feel like they probably just wanted to establish, Sam as the new Captain America, get him out there. I get that.
yep, it was so it was a movie that honestly I would say rent it, don't go to the theater to see it. Like it wasn't a theater movie that had to be seen like opening weekend in the theater, but
Okay, okay.
I mean,
I think
but it
I,
but it was worth seeing.
I was gonna say I might wait for a Disney Plus release. It won't be long.
No, and there are some cool action sequences, but and some explosions and stuff, but nothing that like was earth shattering, like required the big screen at all times. So
Okay, nice. Well, again, welcome in everybody. Tonight we're gonna start on a little bit more of a serious subject tonight, and then end on a little bit of a lighter with Valentine's Day just passing. We wanted to do like romancing and your favorite couples in video games. But we're gonna start it out with something that me and Rope Man have wanted to talk about for a while, and we've kind of touched on it at various times through other streams, but we never really got into it. And that is something that seems to be plaguing the gaming industry these days. And it's a lot of these what they call anti woke people in video games. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of guys that I've seen that like started out just video game YouTubers are jumping on this train where they're attacking every single game that doesn't just check a box. Like it's weird, right? Because at one point they were like, "Oh, well, this game here has to check all the boxes to be woke." but now they're making people check boxes to prove that their game is anti woke. And to me, that really, really just kills the what's the word for it? It would be like it kills the nature of video games. Video games are supposed to be to relax, have fun, escape. I don't need people, determining what the if a video game developer is developing a game and they feel that their audience is going to respond to this or like it, then they have every right as a publisher, as a developer to make that game. If you don't like it, don't buy it. But it's not that simple anymore. And I feel like it's went too far. Like there's a lot of guys like and we were talking about this right before we went live. Like Smash JT, there's 8-Bit Eric, quite a few guys in the YouTube sphere that I really watch and I enjoy, but I feel like even the anti woke people are splitting into different tribes because they can't agree on what's too woke. And when it gets to that point, to when you are splitting into different factions, I feel like it's gone too far. What about you, Rope Man?
I could not agree with you more. So the thing that really bothers me, whether with when you talk woke, anti woke, any of that stuff, DEI, the Me Too movement, all of these different things, like that type of stuff, like just permeates real life all the time. Like we live in an era where all of that stuff either has been a big deal, is a big deal. It's everywhere. And the one place that, at least for me, and I believe you're in this camp too, where I get my relief, my release, I'm not in the real world anymore, is in my video games and playing video games and talking video games and all that. And
100%.
yeah, and I don't want those two worlds colliding in on each other, regardless of whether
Hey,
whatever.
Foxtrot, thank you for the follow. Sorry,
Hey,
Rope
Foxtrot,
Man.
good to see you. Regardless of where you fall into any of the categories, like if you approve of it, disapprove of it, whatever, I don't want to talk about that stuff and get hit over the head with any of that stuff while I'm playing my video games. I just like if it's part of the world, part of the narrative, part of the whole thing, awesome, great. If it's not, I then I don't need it. Like it needs to serve whatever the particular cause or anti-cause might be, needs to serve a purpose in the game itself, for or else it's just being forced on people, and then it rattles the other side, and then the other side goes on YouTube and does things to say, oh, that's bad, or we need to poo poo on this game because it did X, Y, or Z, or did, like you said, didn't check a box. And just get that garbage out of my video games, regardless. And I don't want to hear about it.
Exactly. See, 100% agree. And I was thinking of examples to come up with about how different, even in the short time, because people's like, oh, that was, long time ago. 20, 25 years, 30 years even, isn't really relatively a long time ago, not for the
No.
video game industry. And I remember a time, and this is one of the things that a lot of the guys on the anti woke side really bring up is game journalism and like how it's became less journalism and more activism. And
Yes.
honestly, I get like if someone has their beliefs, that's fine. But like to let that affect a game score and you're going to, take off of a game score because it doesn't check this box or check that box. And the reason I say I was thinking of examples is because I remember one of the games that I really, really loved, still love to this day, was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And I'll never forget reading the review in EGM for it. And the reason for that is it got decent scores, but back then, even that close, not even that long ago, One guy give it a 9, another guy give it a 9, the guy give it a 7, but it had nothing to do with his ideology. It was just he didn't enjoy the game, and he even made specific examples of why he didn't. But like these days, if you were to have a 4 panel review, like 4 people in a room reviewing a game, they're not going to review it based off of mechanics, graphics, music. They're going to be like, well, did it have this? Did it have that? And it's like games aren't about your ideology. Yeah, now there are some games, yes, that's fine, that are developed for your ideology. That is their sole purpose. But if you play a game, and it just has something you dislike, like, a good example, one of my favorite games is The Last of Us 2. It got a lot of flack because of the character Abby in it and because, you know, the lead character is gay. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, it didn't affect the gameplay. Ellie was just fine as a character. That just happened to be someone she loved. Why does that affect your gameplay of this game? Did it make her control differently during battles? No.
Well, in the key is specifically in The Last of Us 2, for example, is the writing was so superb that
Oh, the writing,
like it,
yeah.
yeah, it incorporated in the the love story and the tragedy of it and whatnot. Like that was a core principle of the game. It wasn't something that was like beaten over our heads with in terms of like, oh, we gotta, you gotta play this game or do something with this game because the main character, happened to be gay. It was incorporated into into good writing. It was a central part of it in terms of making that writing good. And that's what the key is. It wasn't checking a box so much in
It
that.
was it was
It
a
was
natural thing, yeah.
yes, exactly. And
And
that's the kind of the problem with some you were talking about journalism aspect is checking those boxes. Like just because it checks the box doesn't necessarily make it a good game and deserve to have a higher score. uh
exactly, which
like
is why
it's
I don't agree. Now, this might be a hot take, but I do not agree with journalists getting free copies of games. If you want a
nope.
100% true score, make them buy that game.
Yes.
If they're spending their own money and then they dish on the game, guess what? That's fine. They actually still contributed money to that developer to give their honest review on it. But you know as well as I do, if someone sends you a copy of a game, a AAA game, now, indie developers are pretty good about giving out codes and trying to get their games out there. But if a AAA developer sends you a code, they're going to expect a good review. They're not, they don't want to send you a code and you be like, well, this game is absolute trash, an absolute buggy mess. And the reason I bring that up is because Hypnotic, I watch a lot of his content.
Yep.
He did not like Avowed, but he was willing to put his money where his mouth is. He bought the deluxe $90 edition and gave an
So you got the
honest
early
review on it.
access. Okay.
Yeah, he got the early access. He didn't just hate on the game because of this and that. He said there's bugs, it's broken. And to me, I've seen the game. Now, I was honestly excited for Avowed because I love Obsidian. I mean, some of my favorite games are from Obsidian, Fallout New Vegas,
Hmm.
Outer Worlds. But honestly, Avowed looks like Skyrim 10 years ago.
Yes, and me being an RPG guy, I was initially interested in about until I saw. I'm not a big Skyrim guy. I don't like that first person perspective. I
Fair enough.
watched I watched a few videos about the third person perspective, and apparently it doesn't line up real well. I mean, I'll still end
But
up
have
probably
have you
playing it, but
seen
I'm
the
not excited.
mod? Have you seen the mod for Skyrim though, where someone did it and made it truly third person? Completely
Yes,
changes the game.
still not a fan of Skyrim.
And that's fair, see? And that's the thing. Everybody's but when you make a game and it's been in development as long as avowed, and then you're gonna charge somebody $90 for early access, and it still has bugs.
That's a problem. That's a
I mean,
big
that's a
problem.
problem. And I'm gonna flip the coin here from the over to the anti woke guys, because there are certain aspects of what the things that they're saying has validity. Like, one thing I don't agree with is, like, when I play a game, like we were talking about The Last of Us, that feels natural. But if I play a game and it's making sure to attack certain types of people, and then okay, that's fine. You made the game. That's your thoughts. But the anti woke guys, one of the things that really gets to them and it gets to me is, if you were a developer, you should have some decorum. Like, I don't go to my job and just because somebody doesn't like a type of oil or somebody doesn't like a type of filter, I don't yell at them and tell them that they're a bigot and that,
Right.
that they're just hateful. And that's what you've got these people really high up at video game companies. Like, I'm talking about, like, they're like the lead artist or lead this. And it's like, answer me this. When have you ever seen Nintendo do that?
Yep.
Anybody at Nintendo. You know why? Because Nintendo would send your ass packing quick.
Yep.
And I feel like that is part of what has happened to the Western video game industry. You've got these people, they become unchecked. And they feel like, oh, well, I'm the lead developer on this game. I can say what I want because there's no repercussions. And then when their game fails, they blame it on racism or they blame it on bigotry. And it's like, no, you literally came out. It's just like Star Wars. I am a huge Star Wars fan. But when something fails because of bad writing, that's bad writing. That's not racism.
Hey, Star Lord, welcome on in,
What's
buddy.
going on, Star Lord? And you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I
So,
watched and I'm not one of these people that go out of my way to hate something just because I heard everybody else hate it. I
right.
watched The Acolyte. The Acolyte was terrible
Yeah, I only made it through a couple of episodes because
because
I just
why are
couldn't.
you making some kind of romance? The Sith, their whole point is their hatred of the Jedi. Why are you going to make a love story like that? And it's like, wow, well, there goes the whole lore of Jedi's out, not having
Right.
emotions out the window.
Yeah,
And it's like,
it's
go ahead.
we put so much, or not we, the video game industry, the entertainment industry in general puts
As a
so
whole,
much,
yeah,
yeah, puts so much into needing to scapegoat if something doesn't work. Like,
exactly.
and finding something to blame other than just the fact it wasn't a good product. um Most recent example, and again, I haven't played it, so I don't want to get too into the weeds on it, but the whole controversy with Dragon Age Veilguard, the you know everything that I've seen, like, on the anti woke side, is all about, oh, they tried to cram all this stuff in here, and that's why you shouldn't play this game. It involves
Yeah.
LGBTQ issues, and this, and it's forced down your throat. This and that. Honestly, though, everybody that I've talked to that's played it, like, I think you're the only exception because you said you've enjoyed it. They didn't like it because it just had repetitive gameplay and the story wasn't good.
I mean,
Like,
granted, let me throw this in there. It was not better than Origins or the older Dragon Age games. But I'll say it wasn't like what I enjoyed it because I'm a casual Dragon Age fan. I've
sure.
never been deep into it. It was fun. But I mean, I guess if I was a hardcore Dragon Age fan and I knew all the deep lore and I knew that, then maybe I would have been a bit more disappointed about the story. Granted,
Right, and and I am a Dragon Age diehard, and again, I haven't played Veilguard yet, so I can't speak on the story fully yet, other than what I've seen through third,
Oh, come on,
through
Rope,
other
man.
people
Be a
playing it.
game journalist. Hate on something you haven't played.
So that's just it. I'm not going to hate on it, but the key is though is that because of the stuff that got just drilled in on, because and all the controversy, it made a player who loves playing it, the Dragon Age games, has beaten all three of them before
Yeah.
Veilguard, all three of them, including the DLC of Origins, multiple times. I've completed it. Know the lore, love the lore, it's great. Not want to play the game and buy it at full price because of just all the negative publicity that came with it. It's just like it scared me off on wanting to play it. And then
And it's
seeing the
like,
gameplay and stuff, I knew I didn't want to right away, but
and
still, that's tough.
here's where I draw my line, is I get that, okay, maybe there's some stuff in there that these guys didn't like, okay, it's woke to them. But then at the same time, they'll go and attack a game like Alan Wake. Just because,
Yep.
I mean, yeah, there was a consultation company or whatever you call them that worked on it, but I played through that whole game. I'm a Alan Wake super fan. Nothing in that game was woke. But
It's a
if you
horror
start
game,
looking for
basically.
things to complain about, then yeah, but like we were talking about before we started streaming, and we talked about the other day, Chrono Trigger has a character that by
Mm-hmm.
today's standards would be a trans character. That is Flea. Flea is a fan favorite character. No one has ever complained about her. No one has ever, again, Azure Dreams. You can romance the male in that game. No one, they consider that a classic. Now tell me how come they can't retroactively go back and hate these other games, and I'll tell you why. It's because at the time, it wasn't the thing to do. But now, getting in on that grift where it's like, oh, I'm standing up. And like I said, love him or hate him, the one thing about Smash JT that I do appreciate is that he's actually putting his money where his mouth is and fighting a lawsuit to not be actually shut up. That I
Yep.
agree with. But again, you've got this other side. They're really Christian, or they are now, I guess, and that's fine. But don't tell me I shouldn't play a game because I haven't played the first one, but I own it. I own the actual, like, I bought it for like $4, like the special edition Kingdom Come Deliverance. It was like on sale, so I want to play it before I play the new one. And it's like you got these people attacking this game, and it's like, okay, maybe what goes on in that game isn't something that suits your ideology, but that's not your right to tell other people they can't play it and enjoy it, especially when I've heard from people like us that are just gamers that, hey, this is a wonderful game. You should play it because I love, again, we're both RPG players.
Yep.
But it's like I even heard when Final Fantasy 16 come out, people trying to call it woke. Tell me what's woke in that game.
Well, seeing as I've beaten Final Fantasy 16, I'm trying to think of what you could consider
As have
woke.
I.
Um, I don't know. I honestly don't have any idea. Like, I
Ex-
can't think of anything that's
I
considered
agree,
woke.
Star Lord.
Star Lord makes a good point there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they want their morals to be the measuring stick, and it's like
yep,
that's fine, but there's people out there that don't have that same set of, let's just say Christian morals. And that's fine if you have them because this is a free country, but you can't. It becomes a problem when you start telling people they don't have the freedom not to believe that. And like I said,
yes,
of course, video games are going to adapt to the newer age. They're going to be more in depth because we have the technology to do that. But it's like Square has been putting all kinds of stuff in their games for years.
oh, that's an understatement.
And it's like, exactly. You make a good point, Star Lord. It's their way or the highway. And it's like, no, that's not how this goes. But yeah, Square for years has been putting, if you play a lot of the games and you are a Final Fantasy fan and you cannot honestly say, because I know if you say it, then I know one, you didn't play any Final Fantasy, or two, you're just lying to yourself. A lot of those games and a lot of JRPGs are very anti religion. You're
Hmm.
usually killing a god. I mean,
Yeah.
Breath of Fire, you're literally killing a god. Which, by the way, GOG has a poll up right now that absolutely everyone should go vote on to bring Breath of Fire 4 to GOG. I need that game. Please go vote.
No, I fully agree with you, and it's Star Lord brings up just the perfect point. It's nobody should tell somebody else what their moral compass should be. Like, end of story. It's everybody has different beliefs. All beliefs should be respected. you know are some things objectively right and wrong? Yes, that's why we have laws. And here in the states we have our the Constitution, and that's why the fundamental principle of freedom of speech is so important. You should be able to say whatever you want, but when you start using that type of speech on either side, whether for whatever purpose, to objectively hurt somebody else, that's when you've crossed that line where it's bad. It doesn't matter if you hurt their feelings, you hurt their pocketbook, if it's a company, it's still causing real harm, tangible harm. and
Exactly. Like
and
like we were saying, when you attack these developers, you
yep.
you see them as a faceless developer. Oh, this is Ubisoft or this is Capcom. But there's real world people that go to that job every day, whether you agree with their ideologies or not. They have families, they have bills, they have, and the thing about it is, with you bring up the Constitution and the First Amendment. The problem that people have not learned to this day is that yes, the Constitution protects your freedom of speech. It does not protect you from consequence of
Correct.
your. So when you go out of your way to just bully people and put people down, like I said, you may not like, okay, a good example. Let's just say, or I'll give an example. Let's say this person works for game developer A and has their set of ideologies and you have yours. And then somebody comes along and says, well, I don't like said person's ideologies. They need to change them. No, they don't have to, because the First Amendment in the Constitution protects their right to have those ideologies as long as they're not hurting other people, like you said. Like, I mean, you have the right to weird things, but you also have to understand that if you're into said weird things, you're going to face criticism.
Absolutely. I mean, using myself as an example, I always, I always tell people, especially with my day job, I can be a complete and total dick, like just flat out. I can be a jerk. It goes with the type of job that I have. That sometimes you just kind of have to be one. Well, there are consequences to that on occasion with my career, and it's a fine line, but you again, you have to be willing to deal with those consequences if you're willing to take the action or do the action that you're
Absolutely. And
taking,
one
and
thing I
that's the
will
key.
say, another thing people don't understand, and this is on the flip side, because this is coming from someone technically, I would be like in the center politically.
Sure.
When it comes to like, okay, laws, a lot of people over on the right tend to think that laws equal morality, and that's not true. And they
Correct.
think that because, this is a law, like it should be put into a video game and that should, but just like music, okay, we'll go into, like we said, the entertainment. I'm a big horror movie fan. I have been since I was a kid, and I got traumatized by Pennywise in fucking the It.
I thought you were going to say Showgirls after the way you were going.
I mean, Showgirls was pretty traumatizing for a different reason. I mean, I didn't want to see Jesse. I didn't want to see Jesse from Saved by the Bell like that, all strung out. But no, like when it comes to that, it's like you grow up and you see these things that are different than what you understood. Like a lot of things are different than I'm an old man. Things are a lot different now. But things like video game industry, the entertainment industry are going to evolve. And when I talk about the horror movie industry, people don't realize that a lot of those movies lend themselves to what's the best way to put it? It's like when you're basically pointing out like societal problems. Like it's okay, like take for example Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It is a societal movie about like the Dust Bowl and how it was affected when everything left there and people lived in poverty. And that was literally the director's words, not mine. And it's like, do you not think that people in the video game industry are going to do the same? Again, Square. There's a lot of political, and now some of it doesn't apply to us because they're a Japanese company.
Right.
But a lot of what they have, like, they'll put in the games, and we're just like, oh, that's a cool, anti governmental thing. But it's like, for the time, they were speaking out the way that's what I'm trying to roundabout get at is that people put in video games and they put their message into a video game. Some are less subtle than others, obviously, but games
Why
are
do you think?
always they're going to reflect society. And I know some people our age don't understand it, but the world has changed from when we were young. And they're not
No.
making games. They're not making games for us anymore.
No, they're not.
These are for our younger generation and they enjoy them. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that the video game industry, unless you're Nintendo and you're like, haha, you only play Mario if you got a Switch. But these companies, they're going to make games based off the younger crowd. And when we grew up, there wasn't really a big, discussion about this. A game was made, you played it. If it sucked, it sucked. You know? And that's all the way up to the PS2 era. And then the PS3 came out and just sucked balls, but that's for another podcast.
Sorry, I do have to disagree with you there. All video games are to be designed for me specifically, my age group. We rule the world, and anybody making games for anybody other than our demographic is just wrong. So there,
So it's
just leave
just
it
all
there.
FUBU. I got you.
Oh, for us, by us, heck yeah.
But yeah, and it's just weird because like another thing that has changed is, and this is kind of ties into the stuff, is at one time, and this is even me growing up, video games were a boys' club. Like a
Yes,
girl playing
very
video
much so.
games would get harassed. I mean, to this day, women get harassed in Call of Duty lobbies, but I've been called some terrible things the one time I played Call of Duty, so that's not out of the
Well,
box. But
that
you
that
know,
that
a
that's
lot of
called that's a rite of passage in Call of Duty. So
it really is. But when it comes to like the changing in the industry, and this is what's funny, I saw a meme about this the other day, and it was like for years y'all were like, well, if you don't like our games, go make your own. Well, they make your own, and then you attack them.
yep,
And yes, I
you're
know Star
invading their
Lord.
space, Panda.
I look, Rope Man is old. I'm not. He's older than me,
uh, they don't call me the Gray for nothing.
and he is Rope Man the Gray. But and that's pretty much all that really I wanted to get out about it, and it's because of and what really brought it up was Twitter. Oh, Twitter. I've been
uh,
building this on
Panda, I hate
Twitter.
to tell you this, but it's called X now. Speaking of us
Isn't that
getting
his
old.
son's name, by the way?
I
Is
don't
his
know.
son named X?
I I I
Elon's?
I, I don't. I do not know. I don't deal with children, so
I swear his name is X, the like smallest child. But X, Twatter, Twitter.
water.
But
God.
you've got these people on there and their whole thing is literally drama farming. Like, I get, okay, you you can scroll past a tweet. You don't have to comment on it. But for the past couple of weeks leading up to the podcast, I've engaged in conversations just to see how people
Trolling.
react, the reactionary crowd. And you get one or two reactions on Twitter. You either get dogpiled for your opinion, and basically you just get kicked out of the chat. Your AOL ran out of minutes, or you've got a bunch of people that automatically rally behind you, and it all depends on just like a couple set of words that you use in that conversation. And I find that just society, like, as a whole, as a society, we've taken certain words and gave them the power to control whole conversations, even in the video game industry. Like, we've got to the point where I could go into a chat right now on Twitter live right now and say, all you woke people immediately get
or
attacked.
or hop on the Twitter and just be like, "What's the deal with pronouns?"
Oh yeah. What's with pronouns in video games?
Yeah.
But I don't get it, right? Because it's like that one little thing sparked a whole thing, I think, about Avowed because it has pronouns or something like that. And it's like, okay, that's not hard to just, or it might have been Dragon Age, actually. Was it Dragon Age?
Dragon Age, yeah, had him,
Yeah.
had him.
But it's
Avowed
like,
might too. I don't know.
it may, but it's like, what did that affect? Putting that in there is just because there are some people that want to do that. But it's not affecting your gameplay. It's not going to make people come up to you in game and ask you what your pronouns are.
I like to go by R or G for my
I
pronouns,
thought
so
you was
go
going to
man
say
or
our
right.
truth.
Hey, John Cena's
Biggest
biggest
fan.
fan. Yep,
Exactly.
and he's on SmackDown now. Not to go off topic, but he got moved.
He did. He entered the transfer portal like 90% of the Alabama Crimson Tide locker room. But still, I digress. I'm looking
But
forward to next season.
no, I do want to go back to one thing real quick that we were you had brought up, and I
Oh,
really need to
absolutely.
jump in
Go
on,
ahead.
and that's the review codes thing with specifically with streamers getting these review codes prior to it, and um, how it affects their score, because it does, it absolutely does, and how they rate games and what they think about games, and it drives me absolutely nuts to see some of these people backtrack after they give a score. The score isn't justified by the actual game, but they gave it to that score for whatever reason because they got the game for free.
Yeah.
They're expected to hype it up, this and that. There,
Like Dreamcast
I
guy with Cyberpunk.
yes, I was thinking Mr. Matty plays with regards to Veilguard. He had put out one video and it was like, this is I really enjoyed these things, this, and then he put out his a video later and it's like, oh yeah, this game sucked. Like, after people started dogpiling on it, it's like, have your, don't kowtow to the big corporate sponsor giving you codes or relying on codes, this or that.
Oh,
I
never.
get it.
You should give your
It's your
honest opinion.
Yep.
Because,
If they're not going to give you a code, they're not going to give you a code. I get it. It's your livelihood. It's a tax. But if you're doing this as your livelihood, it's a tax write-off anyway. So
but
if
at the
you're going
same
to do this,
time, you
fine.
should be honest with your
Yes.
audience because when you take a code from a game and you're like, this is the greatest game ever, everybody that watched that video is going to take your word. If you're a big influencer, they're
Yep.
immediately going to be like, you know what? I trust Mr. Matty Plays. I'm going to go buy this game. and then to see him turn completely around and be like, "This game is trash." It's like, "Well, you told me it was good a week ago and I bought it."
Exactly. And it's dishonest, it's shilling. And if any big publishers are watching right now, ropemanthegray@gmail.com, I will shill for you. No problem.
Especially Nintendo, retropanda84 at gmail.com.
Give us free Nintendo. Oh, sorry. What?
Give me free Switch too, please. But yeah, and I agree. It's like if you can't have an honest opinion, don't have an opinion at all because okay, a good example of this, right? When TikTok got banned, right? Right before it got banned, a bunch of influencers came out, and this I'm talking about biggest egg on face moment. They come out and they're like, "Oh, by the way, I've been lying this whole time. This is this. I've been shilling for these people." And then 14 hours later, they came back and it was like, guys, I'm sorry. It's like, no, you were lying this whole time. But if you had actually built your audience off truth, they would have understood.
Oh, really, Foxtrot? Sorry, I was reading Foxtrot's.
Oh yeah, I read that too.
That's interesting.
Oh, and a
Oh,
lot of times they do because I mean,
yep.
or they'll play like 20 minutes of it. I get you don't want to get really deep into the game, but at least play an hour or two of a game before you start talking about it.
That's why I give to give a reviewer a little bit of props here. I give Mortismal Gaming a lot of props for 100%ing all those games and having all of his stats public and on Steam, so you can verify that he actually did it. Unless he's figured out a way to hack Steam, which I don't think that's the case. But
I mean, if he has, he's probably the smartest man on the planet, but
eh,
still.
exactly. But whether you agree with his opinions or not, but he at least puts his money where his mouth is with regards to doing those reviews. Like he's played the whole game and seen everything you can do in the game.
Exactly. If you've played the game from front to back, start to end, and then you're like, this game isn't that good, guys, I wouldn't recommend it. That's an honest review. If you played 2, 3 hours of it and you didn't like it and you point out, but if you just get a review code and you're like Cyberpunk was a big thing because a lot of
Yep.
people got review codes for it and they're like, this game is game of the year. And it's like, but you didn't point out that the PS4 version was absolutely unplayable.
Broken,
The
yes.
game was a buggy mess. Now, I'll give CD Projekt Red props where props is due. They did. If you stuck with the game and play it now, it's amazing.
Right, they fixed it. Like it got a rushed release. It shouldn't have been released when it was, and
It should
you
have
know,
never been released in that state. And I feel
yep.
like the same thing, speaking of upcoming games and on the same subject that we're on, the new Assassin's Creed. That game is DOA.
Yeah, exactly. No Man's Sky. But with No Man's Sky, that was a little different in the standpoint that was they overpromised at the beginning stuff that you just wasn't even true. You weren't going to be able to do. But they put their money where their mouth is, and they've made it a
They actually
fantastic
took
game.
the time and went back and
Yep.
fixed the problems. But with Assassin's Creed, it's like the first thing you did, Ubisoft, you didn't say, okay, we're going to take our time and fix this. No, you immediately started attacking people and calling them racist. And you
I
wonder why
mean,
when your
that sounds
game,
perfectly rational to me, but
I mean, you should always do that if you know your game is going to come out and fail.
garbage. Yeah, and gonna be
But it's
terrible.
like when Japan, the people you're basing the game off of are like, that's not true. We have the historical records. Just correct it. Because Assassin's Creed doesn't have to be historically accurate. I mean,
No,
it's a game, but when you're like, oh
the
no, we took
animus is not a real thing.
yeah, and they're like, but this is historically accurate. It's like, no, it's not, and you know it's not. There's
Okay,
literally a character in it that is a female sumo wrestler. There are no
leave,
such things as a female sumo wrestler.
leave the historically accurate things to Tecmo and Koi with regards to Dynasty Warriors origins. I firmly believe Lu Bu slaughtered hundreds of thousands of men by himself without ever, taking
Oh,
the
he did, and I'll get my
opportunity.
revenge. But yeah, it's like you don't have to be 100% accurate, but don't tell people that you've done all this like research when you haven't. Just say
Yeah.
we took some, you know, we took some liberties with things because this is a video game. Pepperidge Farms does remember.
Yeah. Hey, Ricky, what's going on, man?
Welcome in, welcome in.
Pepperidge Farm remembers all. You don't
Dude,
screw
Pepperidge
around with them.
Farm remembers stuff even I can't remember.
Oh, they remember things that I've forgotten many, many
Speaking
whiskeys
of,
ago.
that's funny that, bring up the old George Washington. I heard that the fans have been just absolutely crapping on the new civilization, and I haven't really gotten time to look into that.
So I saw that it got a
Welcome in,
7 out of 10.
Cicada.
Hey, Cicada, it got a 7 out of 10 on IGN, but I have not. I haven't played a Civ game in a number of years, but I actually thought 7 looked good, like the graphics and everything. So just based on like some early previews. So
Cicada says, fix your mic.
fix my mic again. Uh, hold on.
I don't, I don't know. I can hear you good. You sound far away like on game night.
Is that better? I can move my mic. My mic might be too far away from me. Hold on. We'll go like that.
I don't know. Spoop had the same issue the other day. And I
All
don't
right.
know if
I might have had my mic just too far away from me.
maybe. I mean, you're not cool enough for a boom mic, but
No, no. I honestly, it's my desk. My desk isn't situated in a way that I can, have like a boom mic. I can't even have one of those arms or anything. Like they just,
see,
I
when
don't have
he
a place
said,
to
"Oh
attach
no,
it.
rope man," I just assumed it was, "Oh no, rope man's here."
Well, yeah, that's how I took it at first as well until he said fix your mic again, and I was like, really, not again.
But
But
yeah, when it comes to Civilization, from what I've seen like over the years, is for some reason every time it comes out, fans absolutely dump on the game, and then years later they like it. So I don't know what that is. I'm not a Civilization guy, so I can't
God,
speak to
I
that.
was I was watching what the heck is that? It was about World of Warcraft. Papa Meats was had a YouTube video about World of
I'm
Warcraft.
not googling nothing called Papa Meats ever.
Yeah, he just popped up in my feed, which
My
probably
safe search is
disturb.
often Google, and I don't want to know what Papa Meats brings back.
I think that's who his name. But anyway, um, no, he was talking about expansion packs in a very similar way of World of Warcraft. And it's like that with any expansion pack. I think for any like MMO RPG type game, it's like a new one comes out and everybody's like, "Oh, the last one was so much better," and this new one is crap. This sucks, and then you literally get to the end of the new expansion pack and another one comes out, and then everybody's like, "Oh no, the last one was way better." Whether it was Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King, whatever it was, and it's like a never ending cycle.
So it's just hate for hate's sake, basically.
Right, and things were always better before. Like new is never better.
Well, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the DEI and stuff like that. It's like a lot of guys that are still playing games that are in our age group are like, "Oh, I remember the days of Nintendo." Yeah, I do too, but I also remember going and paying $70 for a game and knowing nothing about it and it being absolute crap and the store wouldn't take it back cuz it was open.
Yep,
I'm looking at
I
you,
bought the
Chester
original.
Cheetah.
I remember spending $50 on the original Ninja Turtles game for NES, having never played it, saving up all my allowances, doing chores, this and that. And then I got it, and I could not get past that damn swimming stage with all the electric.
Oh, that game that level's a trap. Like
Yeah,
there is
I
absolutely no way to avoid the damage.
Yep. I like never could get through that stage. So I've spent $50 on a game, which I mean for young rope man was a ton of cash on a game that I literally could not get past. What was that? Like the second stage?
Second or third, like main
Yeah.
part, yeah.
But I could never get past it. Never I
Your
to
key
this day I don't think I could get past
your
it.
key is just take Raphael and sacrifice him. He's useless.
He is useless. The Psy is completely pointless.
Like, don't get me wrong, later games, Turtles in Time, I love me some Raphael. He's useless in the first game.
Yep. Oh, come on. It really does look cool though when you would hold the up button and you would spin the Psy. Had no range, did absolutely nothing, but it really looked cool.
Well, and I mean, the DEI in that, they were all green. So I'm canceling it.
Yeah, why wasn't there a diversity of colors with the turtles? I
Why
mean,
wasn't there a blue Ninja Turtle? I'm
yeah,
offended.
or a yellow one. I mean, what's
Or why wasn't there another blue one that was female that had turtle boobs? Like the
you
next
know?
mutation.
I don't that was an atrocity of a television show that never should have existed in the 1990s, and the fact that it crossovered with the Power Rangers to this day hurts me. Like it
Dude,
legitimately
that
hurts me.
theme song is burned in my brain to na 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 ninja turtles. Because I was so
And if
hyped
any
for it. I was like a big Ninja Turtles
Oh,
fan.
I was too, and then it was awful. It was so bad.
It was so bad. And like you
It
said, the
was so
crossover
bad.
with the Power Rangers, it's like, and it wasn't even the Power Rangers. Wasn't it like Zeo?
No, it was Power Rangers in Space, which is arguably, in my opinion, the best like season of Power Rangers. Like,
I'm a Dino Force man myself.
you know, if you want to, we'll do that on another podcast. I will debate like seasons of Power Rangers till I'm blue in the
But
face.
the
I've seen them all.
original will always be my absolute favorite. I mean, Tommy, come on. Even though he
That's
was
why I've
like
got
in
a
every season.
that's why I've got a signed picture in my background here from David Yost.
Exactly. But yeah, see, and again, back when it comes full circle back to that, back then people just enjoyed things for what they enjoyed them for, but like with games, you'd go out and back then you could trust a reviewer, but you can't now because that guy got a free review code and it's like back in the day like EGM, Game Pro, you knew those guys were actually playing the games. They
Yep.
wasn't just like, this game's great, you should go get it. Some of them surprised me. Like I remember reading like GamePro's review of Mario 64, which they gave it an overall good score. But there was one guy that was like the camera's janky, and he pointed out all kinds of stuff. I think he ended up giving like an 8. And I was like, see, that's a guy that actually played the game because that camera in
Mhm.
that game is trash, but it was the first 3D spaced game.
That's
So
just it. It was uncharted territory.
all games can't be complete excellence like Bubsy 3D.
I can't believe you just said that.
As the internet descends on me in full attack mode.
You've ruined the podcast. Everybody just clicked off.
Everybody just clicked off. They're like, I can't take this guy's opinion. He's a Bubsy 3D fan. No, that
Yeah,
game was
there.
terrible.
I'm seeing trending on Twitter. Retro Panda has ruined the Pixels and Pints podcast.
Hey, stunning and brave is what I like to call it.
Yeah, Foxtrot, you're
Exactly.
100% right. That's
You got to
exactly
go
it.
with the you have to go with the agenda or you're going to get trashed like all the way to the finish line. But see, I
And
like it when a
the only way
company
I want to get trashed is off of beer and whiskey. Like that's
e
that's the proper way to get trashed.
exactly. But like when it
Yes.
comes to an outside and well, kind of tying into the ideology thing is FNAF. Now everyone knows. I don't know why the alerts ain't showing, but there was a follow there from somebody.
Oh, I don't know either. Well, thank you for the follow.
Yeah, thank you for the follow. I don't know why the alerts aren't popping like they're supposed to.
Well, it wouldn't be a true Pixels and Pines podcast without technical issues. So,
No, you ain't wrong.
but while Panda's doing that,
Oh,
oh,
I
sorry,
got
no,
it.
go ahead.
I'm gonna see if that corrects it. I don't know if it will or not, but either way, whoever, thanks for the follow. But where were we? Uh, what game were we talking about? Oh, talking about
Bubsy 3D.
ideologies and Scott Cawthon. FNAF, great games. I mean, they're not everybody's cup of tea, but I love Five Nights at Freddy's. Have since like the first game. But like, it takes a lot to dig into a man's history of who he voted for and what he spends his money on just to hate him. And that's
He
what they
voted for
did to
Ross
Scott
Perot, didn't
Cawthon.
he? Back in the '90s,
Do what?
he voted for Ross Perot back in the '90s, didn't he?
I mean, you should hate anyone that voted for Ross Perot. No, I'm just kidding. But
Sorry.
no, like they literally searched up this man and like, Scott Cawthon is pretty unabashedly a Christian man. He don't hide it. Hell, he started out making like Christian based games, like Bible related games. But, as the fandom grew, it became more and more. Of course, there's more people coming into the space, but it's like he never made any opinion otherwise. He just made good games for people to play to and enjoy. And then they dig in and they're like, oh, this guy's a bigot. And it's like, how? He's never said anything to you nor offended you. He's
Just
made
because of the way
games
he
that you
voted.
enjoy. Do what?
Just because of the way he voted.
Yes. And who he donated money to.
Oh God.
Like politically. And
Yeah.
it's like, does that change Five Nights at Freddy's? No. You may not
No.
like a lot of people if you knew, or you may not agree with a lot of people if you knew the way they voted or spent their money, but that doesn't affect the game that they make.
No, absolutely not. And you can put that in a lot. Like, I mean, corporations and game developers, they all have their own beliefs and things. And I always go back to the Chick-fil-A example. I know it's not gaming related, but you know what? I don't care what their owner donates money to or what he does. They make a damn good chicken sandwich, and you know what? I always want one on a Sunday.
See, I'm not a big fan, and it has nothing to do with their ideology. I just hate pickle chicken.
How dare you? I don't know if I can be friends with you anymore. You hate Chick-fil-A sandwiches? That might be the line.
Not a fan, not a fan, but I do like their lemonade. They do have pretty fire
Now,
lemonade.
I suppose I can respect your opinion for, not liking the most delicious chicken sandwich in the world.
Exactly. But that's all I really got for the whole anti woke argument. Like I said, with everything that's just been kind of going on lately, it's getting to a point to where a gamer can't just be a gamer anymore. Like you
Yeah.
can't pick up a controller without somebody beating you over the head because you don't agree with their ideology. And it's like when it becomes that, you take the fun out of video games. I want to pick up a controller, I want to play a game, I want to enjoy that game. I don't need to know which way you voted or what your thoughts are on this thing going on in the world. And again, like I said earlier in it, you never see a Nintendo employee do that. They keep to themselves, they make games, enjoy them. And I think if you have an opinion, that's fine. But you shouldn't do that behind the wall of the company that you work for.
Yep. Well said. I don't have anything to add on top of that. Bravo.
All right, well, now your subject, Rope Man. Lead us off.
Oh,
Of course, with
everybody,
Rope Man, just to give y'all the, heads up, it has to do with, Valentine's Day.
absolutely. As everybody that's watching should know, I am a big believer in love, and I've got the love of my life upstairs right now, who's probably listening and being like, "Oh, I better turn this down. I'm not going to enjoy it."
Cringe.
Exactly. But no, in the spirit of whether you celebrate or don't celebrate Valentine's Day, personally, Crafty and I do not celebrate Valentine's Day. I don't believe that love is something that you should celebrate on one day a year or only deal with it one day a year. It should be every day of the year. I'm a big
Just like I
romantic at
said in
heart.
the Discord the other day, it's Happy Clemency Day.
Exactly.
I know I
But
treated you like trash for 364 days, but here's some stale chocolates and some old flowers. Forgive me.
yep. Now I'm good for another 364. But no, it just made me think about like some of the like what are some of your favorite best either games with romance, whether you have a choice or no choice, like and how romance has evolved as a storytelling mechanism in games, and what are some of your favorites, and also who are some of your favorite couples like in video game history. I was just kind of there's no certain way. That's true. There is no certain way to celebrate Valentine's Day. We celebrated it last night with a nice risotto and me passing out on the couch at 10 o'clock.
I think that was more Rope Man celebrating than everything, but
Pretty much, yeah. But no, what really got me thinking about it was while I was doing my research and reviewing of kind of the anti woke stuff was the Dragon Age games and how they and BioWare in general and how they kind of incorporated romance in a very natural way in all of their games. Not all of their games, but in a lot of their games,
that
and how they
actually
use
affects
that
the
as
the outcome of said games.
yep, and how that has shaped some of their storytelling and have made some of their games some of my favorite games of all time. Like specifically, and one that would probably fit on a woke subject nowadays, but just the original
Woke
Mass Effect.
alert, woke alert.
Yeah. And the controversies involving the original Mass Effect, but how amazing of a story that game told. It involved, aspects of romance. You could romance Ashley, Caden, or Liara, depending on your shepherd's sex, whether they're male or female, and just completely went right into the game. It told a lovely story, and even to this day, like going through that game, going through those romance scenes, it's a lot of fun, and it's an excellent narrative.
I was gonna say it to me. When there's a romance aspect in a game, it adds a little bit of depth to. I mean, I know most RPGs, obviously, over the time and course that you spend with these characters, they grow close together. But I always like to see when it's a natural thing, because if someone spent a whole journey together and went through some of the things that people do in RPGs, obviously, there's going to be some sort of like further romance. And one of the first games that I ever actually played that involved that was actually on PS1. And it's an RPG I've never seen a lot of people play, but it's a fun anime esque RPG, and it's called Thousand Arms.
Heard of it?
You should definitely play it. It's very goofy, but the romancing actually affects like the battles, because who you're closer to actually affects the moves that you gain throughout the game.
Oh, that's an interesting mechanic.
And yeah, it's and I've never seen it done to this day like that. And it's like I said, it's a very fun, it's lighthearted. Like it's not a super serious game, but I honestly agree, Zakate. I'm pretty sure that Sun Tzu said that. I
Yes.
believe that.
I think he wrote that down somewhere.
He probably wrote it while he was fighting Lu Bu and losing because
Yeah.
no one beats Lu Bu.
That well, Sun Tzu probably did. That's probably how Lu Bu was actually defeated.
You know what? You're probably right. But yeah, I would implore anyone to check that game out as far as like I said, that's the first one that I played with romancing and Azure Dreams, which it's a forgotten game. Like I don't know too many people that have ever played that game, but it's basically Pokemon with romance.
Like the Pokemon romance each other?
No, like the
Oh.
Pokemon aspect is like the capturing of the monsters that you can do as you climb the tower.
Oh, okay.
And you're building the town while you're climbing the tower, and it's all like procedurally generated dungeons, so it's different every time you go in. And like I said, while you're doing this, you can also build the town and romance different characters in the town, and that affects your ending that you get as well.
And that's what's awesome about having a good romance in a game is that when it does affect the ending of the game, or you get benefits, or custom attacks, or anything to that effect. But you know you don't even necessarily have to have that to have an effective coupling, I guess would be the best way to put it. Like, or be able to pick out your favorite couples in a game in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah.
like
People that, well, I believe
it's
they
just
call it
right.
within like certain communities as shipping a character with another one.
I don't know that term.
Yeah, shipping is like when there's two characters that like generally like a lot of people. Good example, even though it's 30 something years later. Spoiler alert: Eris dies, but a lot of people ship her and Cloud. Like, what would have happened had she not died? The romance that could be.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Not
Completely
Amazon
understood.
shipping. That's
Yeah.
Prime.
Hey Tay, how are
Hey,
you?
what's going on, Tay? But yeah,
Oh,
a lot of people pick characters that generally, and it varies from game to games, just depending. But there's a lot of shipping within the Final Fantasy universe.
well, let me ask you: are you pro team Tifa or team Eris?
Oh, Tifa all
Aerith?
the way.
Okay,
Do I
yeah, I
like
was,
Aerith as a character? Absolutely. But Tifa all the way.
and clearly, uh, Aerith was
It
just trying
really
to
would have threw
replace
you
Zack.
off if I would have said Barrett.
Yes, Ray and Ben totally did too. God, yes,
That is
from Star
very
Wars.
true. I never thought about that. Yeah, they weren't. It
Yeah,
felt
that.
very unnatural, by the way. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I know. I well that we could do a whole podcast on everything that went
I
wrong.
was honestly hoping Ray would have got with Chewbacca, but that's for a different podcast too.
Chewbacca, no, Chewbacca can't get with anybody. Chewbacca is for everybody, like the ultimate bachelor.
So he's a swinger. Gotcha.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I don't know how Wookiees like to play the field, but
all I know about Wookiees I learned from the Christmas special, and I didn't like it because I swear to this day, Grandpa was watching Wookiee porn.
well, I have so many questions now that
Have you never seen the Christmas
I've
special?
I've seen the Christmas special, but
When they walk in
I'm
and Grandpa like quickly turns off the TV and there was moaning coming from it.
how do
That
you know
wasn't the
what
bat.
Wookie? What? How would you know what Wookie porn even sounded like?
Well, I just imagine moans, isn't
Why
exactly
are
the
you
battle.
imagining
It's
that? That brings up even more questions.
Well, I'm pretty sure he wasn't live streaming the Battle of Endor. Let's just be honest here. Papa was bored.
Oh no!
But yeah, when it
Everybody in the
comes to,
romance mood now?
I mean, what gets you in the mood more than thinking of Grandpa Chewbacca watching Chewbacca Wookiee porn? You know what? That's a good question, Zacade. I'm not really sure, and I probably don't want to find out.
I, I don't need to know. Of all the things I don't of all the questions I have that I don't need answers to, that's near the top of the list.
That's tippy top there. But yeah, when it comes to like shipping characters, there's some very interesting ones out there like that I've seen people, and I'm not talking about the weird ones that borderlines on almost criminal ones. I'm talking about just like rare pair ups that like you're like, huh, I wonder if that would have been, you know? Because like I said, with Eris or Tifa, that's kind of like, do you want vanilla or chocolate? But like one chick, and I cannot remember her name, but like if you were gonna throw out a ship that I thought they worked together well was the in the rebirth. The chick that was like a Shinra agent that you actually worked for in Gungaga.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. The general person. Or
Yeah.
yeah.
She
I'm
sent
blanking
you
on
up
her
to like,
name.
yeah, I can't think of her name either, but her, a lot of people think her and Cloud were like really good together, and I could see that.
Yeah, I can see that too. I
Because
can buy that.
to her and to everyone else except Cloud, you know, he reminded her of Zack because
Yep.
obviously he's taken on Zack's personality. That's an interesting thing a lot of people don't ever point out about Final Fantasy. The namings. Did you ever notice that Zack was always really upbeat and happy? His name is Zack Fair. And then there's Cloud Strife because he's always gloomy and depressed.
Yep.
And that was done intentionally to basically like compare their outlooks on life. I thought that was actually a pretty cool thing they did there.
Oh yeah, no, that was brilliant doing that. Like, I mean, and it's very subtle. Like it does, it's not one of those things like if it doesn't smack you in the face or like give anything away. But then after you beat the game and you've seen these characters and you see the names, then it's like one of those light bulb moments where it's like,
It clicks in your head, yeah.
oh yeah, I see what's going on there.
But there's some interesting ones out there, and we were actually talking about this before the podcast, and Rope Man vehemently disagreed because I ship Bowser and Peach. I
No,
think they are the perfect
no,
couple. I think honestly
no.
Mario's the bad guy. He's the evil one. How
How
many
can you think
times can you
Mario?
literally how many times can you be quote unquote kidnapped before it becomes like, I mean, he's not doing that like every other week.
Wait. I thought you were talking about Mario and Toad. Like Mario and Toad are the perfect couple. I mean, Toad
Until,
is everywhere. You know, it's a very subservient to Mario.
dude,
Kidding.
that's weird. Just imagine when he takes off his little mushroom cap.
That's part of his head. That's not a hat.
That's a hat.
It's part of his head.
Have you ever seen the creepy picture though where he took it off?
No, why?
I'll send it to you later so you can have nightmares.
No,
but
don't do that. No.
no, a lot of people,
Like,
agree though. I'm not the only one because I mean, really think about Bowser. He's obviously extremely intelligent because he builds all these ships. What has Mario done?
he's a plumber. Plumbers are the backbone of society. If
Well,
our
those shit.
toilets all stopped working, I mean, come on.
Well, Luigi can do that, and they trash on him
Oh,
constantly.
I love Luigi, and even I know Mario's a better plumber than Luigi.
Plumbed pipes, exactly.
Yeah,
Giggity.
we don't want that.
But now, what would you say to a Luigi and Peach hookup?
uh I'm not good with like the whole like brothers like starting to sleep with their exes type
Well,
deal.
let's just say
So
that we're taking Mario out of the equation, and
Oh,
she like,
well, clearly Peach likes to, have mustache rides. So more Luigi has a nice bushy mustache. So more power to her, and yeah, that'd be
I
fun.
mean, Luigi's the superior brother, really,
Oh yeah, got
and
he's taller.
he's a
Women like tall
millionaire.
guys, right? That's what I keep seeing on YouTube videos. Is that it's all about like got to be
Yeah, it ain't
tall.
about it ain't about the short kings.
No, no, it's all about being tall, like 6 foot. If you're not 6 foot,
If he's
Luigi's
six
six
foot,
foot.
is he? Is that
I don't
like?
know. I
Oh,
have no idea.
I was like, is that canonical? Because I know he's taller than Mario.
I don't know. Let me hold on. I've got the Google machine right here. How
This
tall
is Luigi.
is Luigi? Not the dude that's in jail. No.
Make sure to Google it in freedom units. Don't do it in that weird
No,
metric system stuff.
Luigi is not tall enough. Officially, Luigi is 5'7",
Wait, what does that make Mario?
5 feet tall.
Dude, Mario is basically Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Now the real question is how tall is he after he's had a mushroom?
Weird fact that I know because I played Mario for so long. Did you know when he is small Mario, that's his actual size? It's not
Oh,
little Mario. That's actually his like
yeah.
canonical size. When he eats the mushroom, he grows.
Yep. Yeah, they have Mario. Yeah, at 5 feet tall. Mario is super duper
Whoa,
short. Holy
Mario is
cow!
super small.
Yeah, five
Like
feet
I
tall for
tower over
Mario.
Mario, and I'm only like 5'10".
And I don't save the princess for a living like he does.
Well, he fits into small spaces.
That is true. I guess how else would he get through all those warp pipes? I mean,
Exactly.
you
Which
know.
Mario 3D actually showed me how they traverse through the pipes, which made me feel weird.
And I always wondered what's in the pipes. Like, I get it, they're transfer like, but like, is there like gunk in there? Like
Cicada
debris?
is at the end of each pipe. I don't know why
But
he's there.
but
But those New York pipes, they all connect somehow.
oh, from the movie, yeah. Oh my god,
Yeah,
yes.
seeing Cicada,
Yep.
he's a New Yorker. Cicada, have
That's
you ever
crazy.
traveled by pipe? We need to
Yeah.
know this.
If you have, we would love to hear about that experience. I think maybe, kinda.
Maybe, unless it was horrendous. We don't need that.
No.
You got attacked
But
by 4 turtles and a rat. I don't know. That's the weird thing about New York. There's a giant marshmallow man. Godzilla has attacked it. There's turtles that live in the sewers. There's ghosts everywhere. My God, I would never want to live in New York City.
and why do they always go to New York? There's plenty of other nice cities across the United States that you could attack or visit or haunt
Because
or
let's be
any of those
honest,
things.
Rope Man, nobody's coming all the way to Alabama.
That's a fair point.
Like, even Godzilla knows. He's like, you know what? Every one of them has a firearm. It was like, I'm not going there. There's one old Jethro that probably has an anti Godzilla cannon that he bought from a trade show.
or built in his backyard out in the barn that
Oh,
out of like
absolutely.
out of spare John Deere tractor parts.
Kind of like that. You ever seen Jeepers Creepers where the guy built the freaking like harpoon to kill Jeepers Creepers?
God, I haven't seen that movie in years, but yes.
But back to the romancing. So, what's your favorite romance, Rope Man?
So I go back to my classic RPG roots when I think of my favorite
By
romance.
classic, he
This
means old.
old, yes. You might find this an interesting choice, but Celis and Locke from Final Fantasy 6 slash 3 here in the US back in the day. Um,
That's a good one,
they're
actually.
kind of like you were talking about with the ever evolving, like you travel around together with people, you go through some shit,
Yeah.
and you start to build those bonds. They're like the classic, in my opinion. Like they, you know, Locke rescues Celis from the Empire. Then was she a spy? Was she not a spy? They grew close together. They clearly thought had feelings for each other in the opera scene. Uh, you know,
Great scene. One of the greatest scenes in video gaming, by the way.
yes, absolutely. And then Locke has to, after they get to the world of ruin, Locke has to, put his old love behind him so he can move on with his new life and new love, and just the way that the story evolved with those two, and it built, and it felt natural that it
Yeah,
progressed that
it
way.
felt like, hey, we've been through some shit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like
I
just
get that.
and it's not it's not all about sexual tension or anything like that. It's a natural
Like
romance
an actual
progression.
care for somebody, like you care for their
Yes.
well being. Yeah.
It's not just
I'll
like
tell
damn
you,
she's hot or damn he's hot. It was a true relationship being built.
I'll tell you one that, like, and I get a lot of disagreements on this because there's an obvious one that even the game itself, but I always wanted Chrono and Luca to get together, not him and Meryl.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
I feel like they were childhood best friends. I mean, this woman cared about him enough to actually figure out a way to travel through time to find
Yep.
him. And he even, I mean, technically for everyone, but Chrono gave his life for everybody. And the one that
Yes.
always pushed everybody to go, let's find, let's get him, was Luca.
Yep. No,
That is a that's a loyal woman.
I don't disagree with you one bit there. I always thought the romance of Merle and is it Marley? Is that
I
I
think
think
it's
that's how you say her name.
I've always said Meryl, but some people say Marley. It's
I've always heard
really
it Marley, but regardless, I've always felt that they're like, you know, kind of forcing the relationship between Chrono and Marley was always kind of forced. Like,
yeah, like she had to be the princess in distress that he saved.
right, which don't get me wrong, I'm totally fine with them like if they ended up as a couple doing this, but it felt very forced. Like during the dream sequences where like Chrono's in bed and it's Marley who's in the house and opening the curtains.
Yeah.
It's like
They didn't
you,
really it's like for all the
you didn't need to go
choices
that
this
way.
game give me, it took that one choice away from me.
Yep,
And I would have
that's
liked to see him with Luca.
see, and I would have liked him with Ayla. So
Wasn't that like no, that was Meryl's descendant, wasn't it?
no, 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 that was the cave woman.
No, I'm saying
Oh
Meryl was a descendant of Ayla, right? Wasn't Ayla like her
no,
ancestor?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure she is.
Oh,
Look
hold
that
on.
up. I
I
can't
am.
remember. I might be wrong, but I thought she was like her ancestor.
Oh, yep. You. Nope. I take it back. You are correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that would have been weird had they hooked up because
That would have been
Meryl,
very weird.
that would have been very weird. Okay, that would have caused some kind of time paradox. I thought she was though.
I must have glossed over that in the end because I
Dude,
knew that Isla gets married to Kino. I just it
yeah.
never. I just I learned something new today. There we go.
Dude, when it comes to Chrono Trigger, there's absolutely I've glossed over every single aspect of that game. It's one of my I mean, obviously,
Oh,
you
I'm
know.
ready. I streamed it last year. I'm ready to stream it again. Like it's that much fun, and it's such
It
an
really
easy
is,
stream.
and people always enjoy it too. I love watching newer people discover it because it's always fun because I always go to their streams. Of course, I don't ruin anything for them, but it's fun to see someone experience it for that first time that has never played it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Just getting to see all the great mechanics of the game, and getting to. I mean, heck, we've talked on a podcast about Chrono Trigger for an hour.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could go a whole podcast talking about that game, but when it comes to the shipping, that's about all there really is there. Uh, and then,
So,
like I said, with
Panda, I gotta ask
RPGs,
you, who's your favorite couple, favorite romance in all of video games, like
it's
of
gonna
all
really
time?
surprise you. Gonna really surprise you.
I'm ready to be surprised.
Squall and Renoa.
No, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's not what I would have picked for from you, but I mean, that's not like a way out of left field controversial
It's
choice.
just something about that first time and that song. Eyes on was it Eyes on
Eyes
You?
on,
Eyes on
yep,
Me.
eyes on
Beautiful
me.
song and it's playing while they're just standing there together. Just something about that hits different. And the fact that Squall starts out like this really bitter asshole, but by the end of it, he's willing to do anything for her. There's something about that.
See, the
Even
only
though
thing that I
technically they were raised in the same orphanage and are kind of like brother and sister, but don't make the Alabama joke there.
I won't make the Alabama joke. No, the only thing I don't like is it, their relationship almost feels forced. Like, I guess would be the best way to put it. Like, it's just like they meet. It's like, oh, yep, they're those two are going to be together. Like, it's just like that's the
I
and
get
it's
that,
not. It's because of
but
the way they
but
wrote the
that but
game.
I'll counter that with some actual game logic because technically yes, it seems like okay, they're meant to be together, but the whole theme of the game is destiny.
Okay, that's fair. That you're not wrong. That is fair. And they're a great
So,
couple. Like I'm not poo pooing it on
oh no, and
by
I
any
get it.
stretch.
Like we were talking about Chrono, that feels forced, but with 8, it's like okay, the whole theme of the game is destiny and following destiny. So it made sense that he would follow Renoa because it would have made no sense to put him with Quistis because that's his
Oh
teacher.
God, no. Yeah.
And she's got that bad breath move that is just terrifying if you probably saw an actual human do that. And then there's Selfie, but she reminds me
No.
way too much of Yuffie,
Yep.
where she's just that
Little
independent,
sister.
yeah, little sister
Little
vibes,
sister.
which I thought it was kind of creepy that you could flirt with Yuffie in Rebirth. So I'm like, Cloud, come on, bro.
Well, so yeah, that is creepy because Yuffie's what 16 in the game.
15 or
If I,
16. I can't
yeah,
remember in the original, but she's a lot younger than y'all
yeah.
are.
But what I always thought was creepy was in Crisis Core, the one where he plays as Zack.
Yeah.
That Yuffie tries to get Zack to flirt with her in that game, and she's like 8.
Zach, I'm gonna need you to report to the local Shinra prison and register, sir.
Yes, it's like no, don't do that.
But yeah, I never got that with the whole Yuffie thing. It's like I get it, but she's little sister vibes, and people that put her with Cloud is just kind of creepy.
Yeah, I no, I'm not. I don't get that. I no, nope. Yuffie is little sister, and that's how she should be treated, as a little sister.
And everybody else in the game is so much older than her. I mean, let's see. I think the oldest is Sid,
Yeah, and he's in his 40s, right?
late 30s, early 40s. He
Yeah.
might be just at 40, but it's
Okay.
like y'all couldn't give him somebody. The old
Right,
man.
like, it is a Japanese RPG. Everybody they like their young protagonists and
That's
young
true.
younger love stories. I mean, that's that's just the name. I mean, look at the Persona series. I mean,
That g
it's all about teenagers.
Yeah, I was gonna say because, I mean, now this is just me personally when I played through Persona because I, as an older guy, I was like, "I can't romance these kids. That feels super weird." So, even though I romanced the teacher, I was like, it's because it was like, I don't feel like a super sicko doing this, even though
Are you
he's like,
talking
what?
Persona? Are you talking Persona 5?
Yes. But I was like, if I, romance the teacher, she's of age. I mean, I can't help that Joker is
Well,
what?
the protagonist is not of age yet, so there's
Is he 17 or 18 though?
17.
Well,
So
that was the
so there
closest to not feeling like a weirdo playing that game.
so you made the characters weirdos because I always thought it was bizarre that the teacher would show up at your house wearing a maid outfit and you could
Oh, it,
romance
it
her.
gets even worse than that.
Oh, the massages.
Yeah. I'm like, what teacher does this? What human does this? It's
Hey,
like
Japan's an interesting country.
thanks for making me feel like an absolute weirdo, Persona. You did achieve that. And the only game that has ever made me rage almost to the point of throwing a controller.
How so?
You know the part in the game when you're going and what's her name? The her dad's like the businessman.
Oh, oh, the axe wielder. I'm blanking
Her
on her
name starts with an H. It's not Hitama
H.
or Hifumi.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm
look
Google
that up.
machining. I'm on it. I'm blanking on her name, but I know who you're talking about. I've beaten that game twice. That was a
Same.
lot, that was a lot of my life.
Yeah, I put like 100 hours into that game.
Persona 5 characters.
Just gonna come back
Okay.
with something completely left
Haru.
field.
Haru.
Haru, her dad. See, in the vanilla, which I played both, in the vanilla Persona 5, his boss battle is a standard battle. But in Royale, it's basically if you haven't learned to do the baton pass, it's a endless loop battle.
Yep, you're talking with him using the workers to.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you're
That
talking
drove
about.
me that drove me insane.
That,
But what's funny is I went, and went to the other world and just grinded so far that it didn't matter. I
sure.
just I came in and obliterated him, but I was so mad 'cause I'm like, why do these guys keep coming at me? What is this? And
Yep,
then they came again.
yeah, I remember having to do that battle a few times to get it because I would get like the big ones would come out the big guy
Yeah.
and I would just get they would just kill me like just like that.
But see, I always liked her and Joker together.
Which you could do. I like she was
Yeah.
the. I mean, it just the thing that I have a problem with the
But I
Persona
think
series.
canonically he's with the blonde
Well,
chick.
it depends. It depends on if you're playing vanilla or if you're playing
True.
Royale. If you're
Royale.
playing
Yeah.
Royale, it's the extra character is the
Oh, the redheaded chick.
yes, and I'm blanking on her name now, but um
I'm terrible with
otherwise, you're
names,
right.
but
It's on. On is uh the blonde.
then
So
what's funny is because of the development. Canonically, he's with her in Royale, right? She's not even mentioned in Strikers.
no, she's not.
No, because Strikers was actually in development before Royale finished.
Yep, and that's just that's one of those things. like in terms of talking romance games gone wrong, or how things can go wrong, is when you I don't like in a DLC, which I know Royale's not a DLC technically, but it kind of feels like it is.
Yeah, it
Just the
kind of
way
is.
that
I mean,
they,
it adds
yeah,
the third semester. It
yep,
completes the story.
yep. It's if you're gonna do something like that, which I'm all for doing something like that. You have to you can't be adding a romance character in like that because it doesn't fit in to the original narrative. Like that was one of the big things I had a problem with Royale was the scenes with was it Katsumi or blanking on her blanking on her name now. The redhead. The scenes with her did not fit in with the rest of the game, and it felt very
No, they felt like
disjointed.
they were added after the fact.
Yep. And
But
with a
now,
romance like that, you can't really do that. Like
I'll
it just
tell you
doesn't work.
something that, speaking of games and romance, something that really disappointed me was how you could not romance anyone in the Outer Worlds. It was impossible.
See, and I never played the Outer Worlds, so
Basically, coming from, I mean, you can't really, you can sorta romance people in Fallout, not really. But in Outer
right,
Worlds, it felt like they made a few characters that were destined to be, romanced, but you never could. So, of course, gamers decided we're just going to ship these people. But it's a great game, but that was one of the disappointing aspects of it is that there wasn't a romance aspect of it because it seemed like it lended itself to that. And that's
sure,
always disappointing. Like some games you don't expect romance. You're like, "Okay, cool, just blow through this game." I get it. But it's always disappointing to go into a game and like you're like, "Okay, well maybe I can get with this person and they can live happily." No.
right. It's like if I'm playing Contra, I don't need romance in my
Yeah.
Contra game, but in my role playing game, you know, need a little spice of romance, a little bit of a love
Well,
story
because
aspect to it.
that's part of role playing
Yep.
is having that aspect. I'll tell you a game that did romancing really well and actually kind of humorously at the same time was Fable.
Yes. All the fables.
Yes, all the Fables, and I cannot wait for the remake. By the way, that's
I,
gonna be. I feel like that's gonna be on
I'm
PS5 as well.
I cannot wait for. I love Fable. Fable was
I
so great.
I feel like after this generation, Xbox is done,
They're just gonna produce games for Game Pass. Like
and they
they're
should because they make
yeah.
enough off that. I
They
mean,
don't need. Well, I mean, so we'll save this topic for another podcast. But I little teaser maybe for the in the future. I have a feeling that we are very fast approaching the end of the console as we know it. Like
yeah, yeah. I feel like
I think
there's
we're
going to be, hey, Valkyrie, what's
hey
up?
Valkyrie. I think we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
I feel like PlayStation, Nintendo's not. I think Nintendo's got a few more systems in them. I think because, and I know PlayStation does because they've already announced the PlayStation 6.
Yes. Hey Millie.
Welcome in,
Good
Millie.
good to see ya.
But I feel like Xbox after this, especially with the popularity of Game Pass, and you make enough off it, why keep competing with people when you can just start selling them the license fees for Game Pass?
Exactly. Plus, PC gaming is becoming more and more mainstream every single day as people have great rigs. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, and it's simple to build one now. I mean, I'm
yep,
not a computer guy. Like I know basic stuff, I can do basic stuff, but I mean, even I can, I installed a new graphics card a couple weeks back.
sure, it's not hard. I mean, it
No,
takes it
but
takes a little
if you're
time,
not
but
used to it,
yep.
but the thing I think will always keep consoles around, and this might be a subject for another podcast, but I just want to throw this out there because it's a recent experience, is compatibility.
Oh yeah.
I paid $1 for a game. It's actually pretty fun, but it's called Gungrave Gore. It's like an anime shoot 'em up game. Not too fancy on the story. It plays like crap on the PC. It's literally people complaining no matter what system setup they have, it just stutters. Because when they developed it for the PC, they didn't have it to where it preloaded the shaders. So they're loading in while you're playing.
That would be a problem.
Exactly, because every time something new pops up, it has to load in a shader. Bought it for the PS4 because it's on sale there for $5. Loaded it up, plays like a charm.
Yep.
And it's ease of access. With PC, sometimes there's a lot of hit and miss. With the console, I can turn it on, and unless it's just a crap game, I know it's going to be,
Yep.
it's going to be optimized for it.
Yep. You're
Alan,
100% right.
Alan Wake 2 was the same way. I own it on PS5. I can pop it in and play it. It looks great. I don't have to adjust nothing. I had to adjust like 50 things to get that game to work on launch on PC.
Yep. And there's a lot to be said with the console having everybody having the same specs. Like,
Yeah,
you can change memory. Like in the PS5, I installed additional storage, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, my PS5, other than the Pro, PS5 Pros, my PS5 runs the exact same as everybody else's PS5, and all the games are
exactly.
designed to those specs. So there is a lot to be said for that. But
And I think,
um,
yeah, and I think that's why consoles, I just feel like Xbox, the reason they're going to drop out is because they enjoy the fact, because Game Pass is amazing. It honestly, it's
mhm,
way, but imagine booting up your PlayStation 6 and you have access to Game Pass and PS Plus,
yep, that'd
or
be
on your
great.
Switch too.
Yep.
It's going to be phenomenal. And even Xbox realizes there's a lot of gamers out there. Like during the PS3 era, I went the opposite way. I bought the 360 because the 360 is objectively the better console between those two.
Subjectively, probably the best console. I mean, it was the best console of that generation for sure, but maybe of the from like 2000 to 2015 might have been
Oh,
the best console.
absolutely.
I mean,
The Xbox One was kind of a failure. It
yeah,
was Xbox's Wii U,
I
but
know I have
you
one in my
know,
basement.
I mean, I have a Wii U, so I can't dish on people buying. I have the Ouya.
The
That's
Uwu.
for another podcast. I'll bust that out and show it to you. That was a $100 Android failure, but it does play good movies.
Hey, at least it does something right.
Is that right? The controller was crap. But yeah, I think that's where it's gonna end up is Xbox. You've got Xbox, and they're like, we're gonna give you access to all our games, and they've already made nice. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Phil Spencer was at Nintendo like when they were like having some kind of trade show. He was visiting Nintendo's booths.
Oh, interesting.
If anything, now I don't know if they'll end up. Maybe they don't go to PlayStation, but I know for a certain you're gonna see Game Pass on Nintendo.
Which will really be a boon to the Switch too if that ends up coming to pass.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Because I mean, imagine being able to handheld play Fable.
yep. I've already got my Target gift cards here in my house to buy my Switch too. So I'm already on board. But you
My
added me to a list.
Target
I
gift
like that.
cards. Are you the main question? Will you be buying the 450 bundle? Because by now we already
Yes.
know the price. Like
Yes.
Nintendo can tell us to wait till April. We know it's $3.99 and $4.50.
Yes, I will be buying the 450 bundle with Mario Kart 9 because if you're not getting Mario Kart 9, what are you doing?
What are you doing with your life?
Yeah,
But I'm curious,
you're
you know,
Nintendo switching wrong if you don't get the new Mario Kart.
I'm curious of what the new Mario is going to be. That's my big thing.
And how long it'll be till we see it.
No, no, it's going to be a launch game. It's been confirmed.
Oh, they've confirmed. Okay.
They have, I mean, they've confirmed, not confirmed. Like, pretty much they've
Right.
said that there's going to be. Now, when they said there's going to be a new Nintendo at launch, or a new Mario, I don't know if they're talking about Mario Kart. But I feel
Because
like with the.
Mario Kart's confirmed. Like we've seen the
Yeah.
gameplay, so
But I would love to see a new. Honestly, if I wanted to see anything, and I know Mario or Nintendo's not going to do it, I would love to see a new Mario Sunshine because I think I'm one of the few fans of that game out there.
you just like to clean up dirt. I get it.
I mean, it was basically an environmentalist wet dream, but it was fun. I got to shoot the little things in the face with water cannons. That was entertaining.
I highly suspect it will not be a new Super Mario Sunshine. I will go out on a limb there, and
Think it might be a new Mario Galaxy.
that would be if I had to put money on it. If they were going to revisit something, that would probably be it.
It's either my guess is either that or Odyssey 2. Because Odyssey was very
Great.
popular and I loved Odyssey too. So
Odyssey was great. I loved it. The hat, the
and
hat people,
Cappy. Gotta
Cappy.
love Cappy. But yeah, as far as the love interests go, I mean I think that pretty much we talked about that
Yeah,
enough.
I don't have much else.
That's about all I got. Like I said, I think we've went over some pretty good subjects tonight, especially with the wokeism stuff. And then ended on a lighter note, so
Had a little fun. Gotta have some
oh
fun.
yeah. You gotta finish it up, on a lighter note. You don't want to send people home thinking, that they should be mad at the video game industry. They should just be mad at the people that are trying to ruin it for them.
Exactly. And Nintendo, we love you. Send us stuff.
Exactly. Shigeru Miyamoto, I love you. You're my Lord and Savior. But anyways, besides that, guys, we appreciate y'all coming out tonight. It has been actually a really good night. No real technical issues other than Rope Man's, sounding like he was in the other room. But
Hello, hello, hello.
other than that, like I said, I think this has been a successful night on the podcast, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you again for handling the technical aspects, Panda. This would not run without you because you think you're bad with computers. Ooh, I'm even older than you are.
Rope Man's like, you've seen some of my streams and what happens.
Yeah, nobody wants those kinds of technical issues.
Nada. But thank you guys for coming out tonight. Zakeda, Valkyrie, Millie, Foxtrot, Erky, Star Lord. You guys have
We
all been
appreciate you
amazing.
all.
And for anyone that does happen to miss us live, the VOD for this will be up not only on Twitch, but on YouTube as well. I'll be offloading it to there just in case it's easier for you to get to YouTube. I'm trying to build our YouTube channel, obviously.
Go to YouTube.
But go to YouTube,
Do
subscribe.
it now.
Do it now or I'll cry. But
You'll make my Moogle and Chocobo cry.
and you don't want to see a Moogle cry. That's ugly cry.
It really is. In fact, I even have a Moogle crying emote, and it's just sad.
Look at that. You don't want that to happen.
You
So
don't
go
want Moogle to
subscribe to the
cry.
YouTube channel. But yeah,
All
I'm
right.
gonna look for us somebody, guys. Maybe we can raid out to somebody. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you all for coming.
We'll
Rope
see you
Man,
next time,
play us
everybody.
out.